Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to look at the round 16 team lists due to drop in about 8 minutes time. So while we wait for 4 o'clock we will have a look at the Sportsdeck Dream Team for round 15. So a pretty good week for myself, scoring at 839, which best 13 is pretty good. Top 5% of the round, and did see me move up a few spots in the overall. So back up to 111th overall, so well within reach of the top 100. If we have a look at the team, so we had Cam McInnes at hooker with a 50-point return. Nafahu White with a 53-point return was the only scorer in our front row. We had Kyle Matangi as captain, so a solid 58-point return, but obviously now has a bit of an injury concern. Jacob Preston, 43 in his return from suspension. Couchman, 54 points, was a good return for him. Olakwatu, unfortunately, only scoring 17 before his shoulder injury and is probably on the chopping block. Corey Horsburgh didn't play with the bye, but should be good to go. I think he's 19th or 20th man for Queensland, so don't think there's any issues with him backing up. Hubner, 34 points, was okay. Thought he did a little bit better in fantasy, but we'll, 34 points, we take that. Nico Hines, 44 points, and King Togia with 33 in our halves. Herbie Farnworth was the star, though, with a 92-point return. Jacob Kiraz was really good, too, with 59 points. I guess, unfortunately, we didn't get McCarthy or Purdue's score. Actually, we would have got Purdue's score of 24, given we did have Terrell May as the auto emergency sort of option. But I guess with the late sort of shuffle in trading, didn't sort of pick up on getting one of these guys on the bench. So we did end up copying Lawson's 5, which wasn't ideal. I think he's gone back to bottom dollar there, which is a bit stiff. Well, actually hasn't got up off bottom dollar, perhaps. But Tedesco, Campbell, Garrick were all amazing, 67, 81, 66. Nwangani Tawase with a 48. And Isaiah Katoa in the flex with the 66-point return. So, yeah, so Lawson's score obviously was the one that dropped out. We did get Purdue's 24 in there, Olakautu's 17. So it could have been a little bit better if, a few things went our way. Wasn't a head-to-head matchup this week in the league, but just having a look through, looks like top score was an 883 for the Brisbane Broncos, Nathan's team. So he had Herbie Farnworth as captain, which is a great play. Fanua Blake was 73, was a good return. Bo Fermor with 61, Siwa Wong with the 66, Dylan Lucas with 74. So lots of nice returns there. Obviously, not Captain Farnworth was a bit of a difference maker for our teams. Oliver with an 877 as well, must still be doing pretty well overall. So pretty much had a similar team, but Fermor outscored White, Lucas outscored Nwangani Tawase, and got McCarthy as the auto emergency too, so that's pretty handy. Yeah, worked out well with Turbo, Jazz Tavanga, Drinky's score all dropping out of the 13. So might just have a quick look at the league just to see mostly where Oliver's sitting. So 36th overall. So great stuff, legend. Keep it going. Good to see some increases here from a few of the boys like Shane Nathan moving 162 spots this week, which is pretty big. Lockie making some moves, which is nice. And maybe the rest have fallen off a little bit there. I guess in terms of other players that went well this week, I don't think there's any surprise. The top score, Jack Bostock with a 125. We'll have a look at his break even in a minute, but the dual position's pretty handy. Awkward price, but I mean, if you can sideways someone, get the two price rises and flip him in round 18, I don't hate that as an option. Um, Blake Brayley was really good with a 90-point return. It'll be interesting to see whether that sort of tactic of, he was running a lot from dummy half, whether that's a fixed thing or if it was more of a strategy against the Dragons. Tallis Duncan was quite good, 83, looked really dangerous on that edge. Um, probably continues to hold that role, particularly with South's injury list at the moment. Marcelo Montoya with 82 on the bye this week, so probably not worth looking at in terms of break even. Maybe next, maybe next week if you're planning ahead to round 18. Jaden Campbell obviously went well. Chris Randall playing well on that edge, 78-point return. Katoa, so he'll be on the bubble this week, so his price will start to move. But I imagine Bostock probably has a slightly better break even, and dual position flexibility is nice. Couple more buy options for next week: Damien Cook, Viliami Kickout. Nicarima was good, 76. Obviously, could have had more if he didn't feed Herbie Farnworth with the try. Brimson was good, 68. Um, yeah, so Sexton and Flanagan probably punching above their weight with 66, 65. DC 63 in a well-beaten team, so could be an interesting option moving forward to finish our teams. Obviously not this week. Break evens, so let's have a look. Bostock will probably be top of the list with a negative 56. So, if he walks out and gets 35, what's he projected? Projected at 28, will still make 86k. So imagine there is potential for 150k cash on top of the 122 that he made this week. Unreal. If well done to the ownership. What was it? 7% of teams, 252 teams raking in that cash. Khan Pereira's got a decent break even, but again, probably find a little bit extra to go to Bostock. Karapani's an interesting one for next week at 240k off the back of a 66 in game one. Ethan Strange, if you like him as a point of difference in the halves, negative 18. Harris DeVita, very similar, slightly cheaper option. Nicarima, bit more expensive, but available in the halves. Duncan with a negative 12 could make some good money if you wanted to then trade him in round 19 when he's on the buy for final upgrades. Don't know, after that, nothing particular stands out, I don't think. So, in terms of what I'm thinking this week, probably need to start by resetting the reserves. Watson and Haas will come in, assuming they play. A bit thin in the second row, particularly with Kyle Matangi out as well. So I think, I won't do that. The trade, and probably the number one sort of trade target I'd imagine is Eli Katoa with his buys all done. So I'll just do that trade straight away. And basically swap these three on field. Swap Horsburgh on, Couchman on. So Kyle Matangi, obviously, you could do a lot with that cash. Um, but I'm thinking of holding just to try and save trades. I am a little light on for trades. And I still want to get Isaiah Yeo back into my second row. After that, I'm pretty happy with Katoa, Preston, Yeo, Couchman, Kyle Matangi as my second row. And I'm hoping Kyle Matangi gets dual position as well. So, can flip him in with Nafahu White, even Corey Horsburgh to a degree. So happy with that. Metcalf can come back in this week. Cleary's probably going to get rested. We'll see very shortly. Kiraz is out, so probably Purdue in. Nwangani Tuasa in. So I think at the moment we've only got two reserves. So We're probably relying on McCarthy getting another gig, which I don't think will happen with Kalen Ponga backing up. Um, we do have a boost, so we could get the 17 with some trades, but we'll see who's in the team first because it is now 4 o'clock. So a refresh. So got Tino named Bradman Best back. So I think McCarthy is dead in the water. But let's have a look. So Friday night game, Tigers Raiders. So for the Tigers, Jerome Luai named a backup after Origin. Um, Alex Twelve back from his concussion issues, which is good to see. And they've gone with Talon De Silva and Latu Finu on the bench. Don't know, although it did look like Latu Finu was playing a bit of like a lock role last week. He's definitely put on a bit of muscle since I last saw him play. So maybe that's what they're going with. Jack Bird's more of like an edge type cover. Um, yeah, there's not a lot of size on the bench either, so not sure what they're doing there. But we'll just take it as red 1 to 17. For the Raiders, so Jed Stewart has already sort of been hyped up as a debutant this week, so could be a bottom dollar option for fantasy if you're looking to cash out there in what's a pretty good back line. Um, in the forwards, Papali'i named to start. Smithy's on the bench, so they could do their rotational thing. Um, but yeah, no real surprises there. Warriors Panthers. So for the Warriors, Mawala Graham Taufa named. Is that his debut? We'll just scroll down. Okay, so he has played one last year. So Capewell being rested. So I think in line as well with the Penrith team, which we'll look at a bit closer later. Going from Perth to Auckland is a bit of a haul in 2.5 days. So no Capewell. RTS on the wing. In the forwards, Halasima and Laban named on the edge. So Niokore moving into the front row. Jackson Ford back to the bench. So uh, pretty much a similar team. I guess Wade Egan back in as well for Sam Healy is a good in, particularly for my Supercoach team. For the Panthers, so yeah, none of the Origin players named um, and not included on the extended reserve. So no Cleary, no Yo, no Edwards if you've got him, no Toto, no Martin if you got him. So Dane Laurie to fullback, Alamotti on the wing for Toto. I think he's been injured, so it'd be good to have him back. Brad Schneider slots in at 7. Isaiah Papali'i named on the edge. Matt Eisenhuth named in the 13. And then Liam Henry back as well on the bench. So I think he's been out with injury as well. Um, so yeah, pretty solid team without their Origin players, but a tough assignment going over against the Red Hot Warriors. Dolphins Knights. So for the Dolphins back line, no changes expected there. Looks like I guess Mark Nichols in for Felice Kafusi, who's copped a few weeks suspension, which would mean is it Josh Kerr comes onto the bench? Oh, Harrison Graham added to the bench. So yeah, so backup hooker. So it could mean good minutes for my man Kurt Donahue again. Although they do have Ray Stone who can play that lock forward type role as well. And for the Knights, so Ponga named a backup. Dom Young coming across from the Roosters. So Bradman Best back as well. So basically the gun back line is all set. James Schiller's probably a bit stiff to get dropped there. Forward pack. So going with Crossland again at 13. Um, yeah, pretty much the same sort of forward setup as last week. Um, yeah, so Dom Young's back. Yeah, Schiller in the 18, probably would be 18th man going forward. But yeah, if you had Hunt or McCarthy, probably time to move them on. Rabbitohs Storm. So Latrell named a back up. Lewis Dodd in the six. So I guess they are a bit short on halves. So Lewis Dodd gets another crack in the NRL. I thought maybe Whiten might shift in, but I think they're also short on outside backs. um, in the forward pack, so Mawali named to start in place of Matangi. Um, and I think, can't work out who's come onto the bench. Kepi, LeBlanc, Totola. It's the same bench as last week, so no, Mawali was fine. Maybe, was it Sean Kepi? Might have been 18th man last week or something. I don't remember. I do remember seeing him in the background during the game, but might have been his 18th man. For the Storm, so Munster named to back up. Trent Liera named to back up. Harry Grant backing up. I think that's it. Three. Oh, Xavier Coates. So all the Origin guys named to back up. So pretty full strength side there for the Storm. Oh, Udo Ikamana, of course, I forgot about. But they do have that extended reserve bench, so we'll just wait to see post Origin. Broncos Sharks. So for the Broncos, Karapani gets another start. So Cobbo's still on the extended reserve. Forwards looks the same. I think Pierre Cora maybe. I don't remember what he's been up to. Um, but yeah, Hetherington to the bench. I think pretty much the same team. Oh, Ben Takura out. So Jack Gajewski back in. Okay, so just a bit of a switch on the bench. For the Sharks, so Talakai moving to the centres with their backline injury crisis at the moment. Um, sees, I think, Hamlin Nwele come back onto the bench. No, he's not an in. Where's the in? Oh, Daniel Atkinson. So he was 18th man last week. That's right. On the bench. Roosters Cowboys. Pretty sure this is the last game of the round. No, I was wrong. There's two more. For the Roosters, looks like Angus Crichton named to back up. Rob Toy to back up. Fiketti named in the 13 in place of Victor Radley. Um, Lindsay Collins named to back up. Spencer Lenu backing up, albeit off the bench. So they've got Oello, I think is how you say that, and Docker Clay. So must be using Docker Clay as like a small forward, like a 13 type role, carrying the two little guys on the bench. So might be limited minutes for Connor Watson, or it may just be, he can play 60 and then drop off. Um, and for the Cowboys, looks like Dearden named to back up, Nanai Cotter backing up, Robson backing up. So I guess probably another team that can't really afford to not or to rest their players. They need to push as hard as they can, but pretty full strength side. Eels Titans. So for the Eels, Papali'i named in the six, covering for Dylan Brown, who I think's got a bit of an injury. I know suspended. That's right. So Dean Hawkins covering Moses, who's injured. But Lomax named to back up. Forward pack looks the same as what it has done for the past few weeks. Maybe Weir McGregor on the bench. And for the Titans, same back line as last week. Tino named on the bench, so might be rested, or they might just be the late switcheroo. Um, but I think other than that, pretty much the same side. Oh, Fodawaker named on the bench too. So we'll just see how that plays out. Dave Fafita named in the reserve, so obviously recovered from his injury enough to be considered, but maybe has a one more week or something. Not too sure. So yeah, not the craziest team lists. I guess maybe the Jed Stewart, the debutant for the Raiders, is probably an interesting point. Um, just the Penrith guys being rested is something to keep in mind. Dom Young for the Knights, would like to see how he goes. Knights haven't been the best attacking team this year, though, so probably not worth going on too early. But yeah, definitely a couple of things to consider going into this week. So we'll come back probably Thursday evening, I think, will be the round previews given the schedule this week. So we'll have a look at Origin tomorrow and we'll go from there. But I suppose any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the team lists and the Dream Team content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.